Alongside us this evening, we've got Rio Ferdinand, Michael Owen and Peter Crouch. Very sad news. I guess you three must have all grown up watching Diego. I've obviously played against him on a number of occasions.
I mean, he was the first main reason why I started playing football. My first superhero. The reason I went out on my estate trying to replicate what he'd done at the World Cup, scoring that mazy goal. You remember the commentary, turns, a little squat man. He was an artist. He was someone who just brought magic to the screens. He brought magic to your eyes, and you thought, wow, who is this guy? He was like someone who's just been thrown onto earth from outer space for what he used to do with a ball. Complete mastery of the football. Even his warm-ups are a fault line now, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing all of this now in social media. But what he done even off the pitch, this guy, Crouchy said it before perfectly. He was a rock star, the first superstar footballer rock star. Obviously, George Best came a little bit before that, but this was like a world superstar. What a fabulous player!
He was a genius in many ways.
That's the word, Gary. I think, yeah, absolute genius. When you watch him doing things with the ball, I mean, we could only dream of doing some of that. I mean, just born to play the game. Absolutely born to play the game. I mean, it was a privilege. It was just before my time, I think. I really started getting into football, or remembering football, in the 1990 World Cup. But of course, when you're growing up, everyone's who's the best player in the? It was Maradona. You know, it was just a given, wasn't it, that Maradona was the best player in the world at that time. And of course, any kid of that generation grew up dribbling the ball round trees or round lampposts or whatever, pretending to be him. He was an absolute genius.
He was head and shoulders above everyone else of his generation, even though his head and shoulders actually shorter than most players. He was remarkable.
Yeah, no, I had a video actually when I was a kid, and the biggest compliment you can pay him is he inspired so many probably great players that we see today. He was the first sort of maverick who inspired so many, and I think in this day and age when we're so obsessed with stats and goals, and Ronaldo and Messi are probably out on their own in that department really with the goals scored. But as a naturally gifted footballer, he has to be the best that we've ever seen.
Having spent the time that I did with him, he's so revered. He's worshipped in Argentina. He constantly had a huge entourage around him. And I went to see a game, and I'll never forget it, see Boca Juniors play, and he had his own little box there, and I went with his family, and he's standing there, and the atmosphere was unbelievable at this game. And his family, one of his daughters was literally holding him, and he was screaming over the balcony, holding him so he wouldn't actually fall off. I mean, he had such an incredible passion for the game.
I mean, you said, Debbie, you played against him. What was it actually like to play against him? Like, what the difficulties that he gave you guys?
I never thought in my lifetime that I would see anyone come remotely close to Diego in terms of ability with a football. I think we've seen Messi, who's very similar in many ways. Obviously, Argentinian, diminutive, brilliant left foot. But Diego was incredible. I actually played with him as well for half a game, played for the rest of the world, and at Wembley against, funnily enough, for the English League side, because it was centenary, I played for the rest of the world because I was at Barcelona at the time. And all the players, there was people like Platini on the pitch, lots of great players from around the world, and everyone was totally in awe of him. First thing he did was in the dressing room, he sat there, just a pair of shorts, and like you roll your socks up. He just did them, and he juggled them on his left foot, just like that, for about 5 minutes, and everyone was going, whoa. And then we went out on the pitch, and I don't think I'm tuned in. I think I can stand up and show you this. He did something that was incredible, one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen on a football pitch. It might not sound that amazing to you at home, but I think you'll appreciate this. He juggled the ball all the way out to the centre circle, and then he got to the centre circle, still juggling it, and then he went, bang, and he whacked it as high as he possibly could, and he waited. And it came down, and he went bang, and he did it again. And he did it 13 times, and the most he ever did was walk 3 paces to it. And all of us were sitting there going, oh my God, that's...
like I was then.
That's impossible.
It is.
And I remember going to training the next day in Barcelona and stuff, and we all tried it, and the best anyone did was 3, and they were running for the 3rd one. And I've just never seen anyone have just such a beautiful affection with a football.
And you look at the pitches that they played on. Yeah. They were like mud baths half the time. They were allowed to tackle around your hip high, the weight of the ball.
That's what people don't realise is the fact that you could kick people. And in many ways, he was kicked out, of course, of the 1982 World Cup in Spain when he did retaliate and get a red card as well. But in '86, he was just unplayable. I mean, I know you talk about the hand of God goal, and we could argue about that, but the other goal he scored in that game, I mean, you've got to realise as well, the pitch at the Azteca was awful. It had been kind of relayed just before, and you know, like you relay your garden with small pieces of turf. It was exactly like that, and every time you put your foot on one piece of turf, it kind of just disappeared under your foot. And to do what he did, that little pivot and turn on the halfway line, and then go past the players like they weren't there, was just a most remarkable thing. It's the closest in my life that I've ever felt like I ought to applaud someone else scoring a goal. Obviously, I didn't, because you get destroyed back home. But he was head and shoulders the best player of my generation.
What was the tactics in that game, Gary? Were you man-to-man marking him? Or?
No, because we'd never really played man-to-man marking. So what we actually did, and we talked, it was basically, as soon as he gets the ball, whoever's closest, you get to him. The trouble with man-to-man marking, because he was so clever, once he beats one, then what happens?
Yeah.
And so it was a difficult one, but whatever we tried, it didn't work. It didn't work.
Jolien, such a sad loss for football.
Yeah, horrendous situation, and obviously condolences to his families and his close ones. Obviously, my first memory would be Italian '90. That video, getting that video and being able to see his talents. Having obviously heard of him the World Cup before, but it's a tragic scenario for his family, as I said. And lucky enough to meet the man. He came to a number of games.
What was that like?
Yeah,
when
it was surreal. It was surreal. I'm not going to lie. Like at the time, probably our biggest star was Carlos Tevez, and to see Carlos in awe of someone like that was kind of overwhelming. So I had the pleasure of meeting him. But yeah, it's just the same.
Was he the best there ever was, Owen?
Yeah, I think he was. You know, up until that conversation started with Messi and Ronaldo, but he was just so unique. You know, the way he dribbled, the goals that he scored, the joy that he brought to everyone, it's just amazing. I mean, so sad at 60 years old, to pass. Again, condolences to his family. But remember my first game actually was in professional football was Lothar Matthäus' testimonial, and Diego was supposed to play, but it was quite late in the day, 5 minutes before the game, and he wasn't there. So all my his fault, and somebody else was going to have to step in, and then Diego came in the dressing room and got changed and got his gear on real quick and put his Puma Kings on, was still untied, had an espresso as he walked out, juggling the ball onto the pitch, full house, and everybody was just like, Diego Maradona. Just nobody could believe it, So it was, I think we all just looked at him, like Jolien said, like, almost like he wasn't real, He was just larger than life.
Was it hard to sort of play your own game when you're on the pitch with such an icon?
Honestly, it was one of my first games as a young kid, And I remember I was scared to make eye contact. But when you see those guys up close, it blows you away. Everything they're able to achieve in the game, and it's inspiring to see them up close. So, real sad day for football to lose one of the greats, if not, as you said, the greatest.
He was such an entertainer as well, wasn't he? What really set him apart from the rest?
Just his ability. Obviously, he had bags of it. He would go past players with ease, and he made it look easy, so you could believe that you could do it. But obviously, such a unique talent. Obviously, being left-footed and the balance he showed. So it was just a pleasure to watch at such a young age for me. And obviously, I knew I wasn't going to emulate what he produced, but it would just encourage you to try them things, and as Owen said, inspired you.
And we have a tweet from Gary Lineker as well this evening following that sad news about the death of Diego Maradona. Gary saying reports from Argentina that Diego Armando Maradona has died, by some distance the best player of my generation and arguably the greatest of all time. After a blessed but troubled life, hopefully he'll finally find some comfort in the hands of God. R.I.P. Diego. He was, of course, Owen, famous as well for the hand of God, but he was an absolute god with a football, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he was the one, everybody would want to be like him and do the things that he did, but I can imagine, like Messi, he was just probably born with that gift of being able to dribble like that and score goals like he did, and I just think he was so unique, whereas football has become so structured and organised that he had this incredible beauty, his own unique style of playing football that everybody fell in love with, because you could see the quicker he went, the closer the ball almost seemed to be with him. You know, it was just unbelievable. And that goal, what kind of summed it up. I think that's going to be the lasting memory for everyone. Really, is that goal that he scored, that mazy run that he did. And I can't help but smile thinking of it, actually picturing it in my mind, because it was just one of those goals that makes you think, how is that even possible? All the guys are pros, and he made it look like, you know,
just
like it
joyous
wasn't.
to watch, and sums him up really, doesn't it, perfectly? That goal, such a special player. The beautiful game this evening has today lost a true legend, a genius on the football pitch, the best there ever was. Rest in peace, Diego Maradona.